Hey guys, my name is Joe Welch, and I'm the design director at Turbarillo. And today I want to talk to you about our plans and what's happening with Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream. You may have seen a video posted by Michael Hodge, who's the founder of LCQ Studios already. So if you haven't seen that one, I would recommend you go watch his video as well. He goes into a lot of detail about everything that's happened. I'm not going to go into as much detail since he already covered it, but I want to cover some other aspects that he didn't cover. So let's start at the beginning. A few years ago, when Michael Hodge and LCQ Studios released Chasing the Dream, they released a demo on Steam. I saw it and I played it, and I loved it. And it was very similar to a game that we were planning on creating at Turbrilla. Actually, our CEO asked me a couple years ago, like, Joe, what's the one game, if you had any amount of money and you could make one game with Turbrilla, what would it be? And I basically described what Chasing the Dream was before I knew that Chasing the Dream existed. Uh, so when we saw that come out, I reached out to Michael and said, "Hey, we want to make a very similar game. You guys are a small team. Maybe we could partner up and we could tackle this together. And that way, we're not being competitors in the space. We can come together and make an amazing motocross game." And we both agreed that that's what we should do. So we teamed up and we started pitching to publishers. Right, making video games costs a lot of money. I think a lot more money than people realize. Like, I'll put some numbers out there, but this game was estimated to cost initially $2 million. So we didn't have that money to fund this project. So we immediately started going out and talking to publishers. We looked at and reached out to a lot of publishers. Like, I just looked at our publisher list, and I think there's over 120 publishers on that list that we looked at. We didn't reach out to all of them because some of them aren't going to be a fit, but we reached out to dozens upon dozens, had multiple meetings, went to multiple different game conventions, spent thousands of dollars trying to go and reach out to these publishers, talk to them, and get what a publisher does is, they can help you with a lot of things, but the main thing we were looking for was funding. Like, we needed the money to make the game, right? We've got to hire people. We would have to hire Michael's team, add on more people to the team, and get the game going into production full time. Um, Unfortunately, the current market, the current gaming space for publishers and all that, it isn't great. Since the pandemic, been going downhill a little bit. I'm sure you guys have noticed. So it was hard to get a publisher to to sign the game. We had one that was very close, and they backed out at the last minute, which was a big bummer to us. But even after that, we kept looking, we kept going, we went to GDC multiple times, and we just weren't able to find a publisher who was interested. I think one of the issues is right now is they look at the competitors, right? They look at the Supercross game, they look at Milestone games, the MXGP, they're looking at MX bikes, they're looking at all these games, and the only one that they look at that they see as successful is MX bikes, right? The other ones, the numbers aren't big enough for them. So these publishers look and see, okay, Supercross only sold X amount of units on Steam, and then they come back to us and they say, hey, look, it doesn't look like motocross games are selling. We know why people aren't buying those games anymore, right? It's like it's the same game year after year with small updates. The physics, it feels like you're on. People complain about how slippery it is, or whatever. You guys know the issues with those games, and that's what we were trying to do. We were trying to come out and create a game that addressed all the players' concerns, all the problems, and we really wanted to make a game that was like for the community and with the help of the community, and not just keep making these games that community's kind of sick of. But the publishers don't see it that way, right? They just see, oh, people aren't buying motocross games. There's no money to be had here. We're not going to give you $2 million to make this game, and then you're going to make back 500,000, and we're going to lose a bunch of money. So they didn't see the potential in that. Even after that, we decided to scale down the game a lot. So we said, hey, look, instead of pitching a $2 million game, let's scale it way down. We'll remove a bunch of things, and we'll just try to ship the core that people care about, which is going to be multiplayer and modding. So we scaled the budget way down to 500,000, and then we went back out and we pitched to a bunch of publishers saying, "Hey, look, we need 500,000 to make this game," and even still, publishers didn't want to sign us. Um, so I think it's been over 2 years now of us trying, I mean, really trying to get someone to help us fund this project. we've been unsuccessful, and unfortunately, Turbo is not in the place right now to fund the project ourselves. If we were, we would totally do it because we believe in this project 100%. Um, so it had nothing to do with Michael or his team, or that we don't think the game is a good idea anymore. It was none of that. Like both Turbrilla and LCQ Studios want this game to happen. Uh, I I want to be able to play this game. I want to race you guys out there in this game, and I've never wanted to make a game more than I've wanted to make Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream. And it's just a bummer that the publishers and the people with the wallets and the don't see the potential that this game has. So I'm sorry that this is bad news. The motocross game genre has been stale lately, and we were hoping to fix that, but it looks like that's going to get delayed. I know Michael and LCQ Studios are going to be working on something new, and we're here to help them as much as we possibly can. But the current partnership that we had with Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream is ending. But there's no hard feelings between either of us. We were, I think both parties were kind of working as hard as we could to make this happen. I know Michael was putting in crazy hours, and myself and our CEO at Turbarilla, Matthias, were trying really hard to reach out to publishers. I mean, I don't want to get into the details, but we did the best that we could and tried the hardest that we could. And I think without a demo that's maybe a little more polished and further along, it's hard for the publishers to see the real potential of this game the way that Michael and I see it. Like, so it's been tough, but yeah, that's the bad news. I don't know, I don't know how to fix it really. Like, I don't know if there's anything you guys can do. The publishers are saying, oh, people aren't buying motocross games. So I guess maybe one thing would be buy more motocross games, even, but it's like we don't want to keep spending money on the games that we don't love, because then it's kind of sending the wrong message. But then at the same time, it's like, well, if we don't buy those games, then publishers think no one cares about motocross games. So, it's kind of a weird predicament to be in. So I guess support motocross games the best you can, and show publishers that people care about motocross games. They want to play these motocross games. Wish listing motocross games helps a lot. Like, a lot of publishers will look at how many wish lists you have, because they can decide, oh, maybe 20% of your wish list will turn into purchases, and they use that, those type of things. So I don't know. I hope we start seeing some good motocross games in the future, and I hope that LCQ Studios and Turbrilla can work together in the future as well. But for now, we're putting Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream on hold indefinitely. Maybe it'll come back alive someday, and maybe it won't. We're not sure. So, yeah, that's it. Sorry that it's bad news, but I kind of want to put a video out there too, so that you could hear from both of us. But like Michael said in his video too, there's no hard feelings between any of us. I'm glad to have met Michael, and I'm glad that we're friends now. He actually lives, where my hometown is. So anytime I go back in town, I meet up with him, and he's a great person. And please support anything he does in the future. We will, and we're going to be here to try to help him as much as we can. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have questions, you can leave them in the comments, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Sorry for the bad news, and hopefully there's something good coming on the horizon. Hopefully these publishers start seeing the potential in the motocross gaming space. All right, see you guys out there.